What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nazi with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMVSportsZone. And as I've said the last couple weeks now, 4 straight weeks, Redskins, Washington football team, same old crap. That, to put it blunt, like, you can't really say anything has changed with the change of the name, change of the coaching staff. It doesn't really matter. It's the same old crap. Suffered a blowout loss today, 30-10 by the LA Rams, and I was completely off with my prediction for the first time in the last couple of weeks. Now 4-1 with those, but yeah, it's just terrible game. Early in the game, Antonio Gibson, and I have a bunch of stuff that I could say in this video, but I also could just go off on a rant, man. It's hard to stay very calm with these reaction videos when the team just really shows nothing. They really showed nothing today. Antonio Gibson did get involved early in the game, which you like to see. As I've said for I don't know how many weeks, how many months now, Antonio Gibson is an Alvin Kamara type back, and I see him having a huge role on this team in the foreseeable future. J.D. McKissick was also getting involved too, in my opinion, a little bit too much more than Antonio Gibson towards the latter half of the game, but he was still okay, although he did, on a couple of plays, he didn't go out of bounds. I think it was towards the end of the first half when he should have and would have saved us the timeout, but he didn't. Kyle Allen, I know I talked about this in my preview video. I thought he was going to have a better game than what people expected. I mean, obviously he got injured, so he didn't really play much and was eventually replaced by someone who I'll mention later. But in his couple of snaps that he played, he was actually not that bad. He didn't really throw the ball down the field much, but had that nice rushing touchdown, which I don't think any one of the quarterbacks outside of him on this roster can do at this point, and wasn't missing too many passes. Was doing a little bit of dinking and dunking, but that's pretty much all our quarterbacks at this point. And he didn't play too bad before he got out of the game by the I thought the very, 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 very dirty hit by Jalen Ramsey when Kyle Allen was going towards the sideline, and Jalen Ramsey just had a helmet-to-helmet hit, and I thought he should have at least been up for a potential ejection, but obviously that didn't seem to be the case. It was just a penalty, 15-yard penalty. But yeah, he was playing well, and sucks for him, right? Like, he was playing pretty well, and ultimately got replaced by Alex Smith because of the injury, even though Kyle Allen did come back towards the end of the game, and he didn't come into the game, but he was on the bench. And Ron Rivera actually said that coming next week, he will actually be the starter if everything's good, if he's fully cleared and stuff. So we shall see. Jeremy Sprinkle drops as usual. Talked about that for I don't know how many weeks. This guy should not be on the roster, but because our tight end group is so putrid, I guess he just found a place, right? If you have even a tiny bit of athleticism at the position, I guess we have to keep him in 2020. I do not trust John Bostic. I said this in the offseason, and a lot of people were pushing back a little bit on it, but I know John Bostic last year had over 100 tackles, right? He gets a lot of tackles. I never trusted him. He was terrible in coverage last year, and he's terrible in coverage this year. He's sort of good as a run defender, but even then he makes terrible angles, and it's just not it, man. There's a reason why in Pittsburgh he was playing primarily as a backup, as a depth piece in that linebacker group. So, and he's starting because of the fact that our linebacker group, outside of, in my opinion, Kevin Pierre-Louis, is just not good right now. Safety group, oh my gosh. It's atrocious. Landon Collins, the guy we signed to $14 million a year a couple years back, where is he? He's made terrible angles. He did have a couple of nice plays in stopping the run, right, when he plays in the box, which is sort of what he should always do, but he can't because he is a safety. Maybe convert to linebacker. I don't know at this point. He's just not good at coverage. He really isn't. I think he's a little overhyped at this point by outside folks. I know local folks, local fans, we know he just hasn't been it the last 2 years in coverage. Now everybody gets to see it, I guess. And Troy Apke, we all know trash key. He's just not good. He's only getting reps because of the fact that our safety group is just not good as a whole. Yeah, it's just not good. I personally think our defensive line, while I think it's a tad bit overrated, I think it is definitely a keeper. It's definitely something that we can build on. I think our cornerback group is actually pretty solid as well. Just comes down to the safeties and linebackers outside of KPL. And I don't know, Cole Holcomb will come back, man. He's been injured every single week, been out. I don't know, man. But yeah, those two groups are definitely the biggest needs on that defense, on top of the atrocious offense that we have, that we need to address everywhere in the draft and free agency this upcoming offseason. But yeah, Alex Smith, we all saw he made that full recovery from. We all saw what happened to him last couple years back now in 2018 against the Texans. That gruesome injury. We talked about that a little bit in the offseason, a couple of videos for this channel. But yeah, it was a gruesome injury. We saw the Project 11 documentary. We saw his full recovery. A lot of us, including myself, didn't think he was going to play another down for the Washington football team. I personally thought he was going to play football, but I didn't think he was going to play for us, because I thought maybe Dwayne or Kyle Allen or someone else might be that quarterback. But no, Alex Smith got right back into things, and he wasn't great by any means. I think his stats were actually very putrid. I think the rain contributed to that a lot, but at the same time, he was also doing a lot of dinking and dunking, and a couple throws he had down the field, which is great, right? Like, wow, throws down the field? The Washington football team? We can do that? Alex Smith did a couple of those. He did miss both of those, I believe, but Terry McLaurin almost caught one. It would have been a great momentum shifter in the game, but just how things have gone for this organization. Aaron Donald, oh my gosh, bro. I know he's arguably he is the best defender in the National Football League, but he's arguably the best overall player in the National Football League, and he showed that today. But you just cannot have him getting 3 sacks against your offensive line. You need to double team him, do something, man. And I know another one of the Rams defenders, I'm forgetting his name, but he's not as much of a stud as Aaron Donald, but he also had 3 sacks. So 6 sacks by 2 players, that's unacceptable by this offensive line. And I was one of those people who thought the offensive line was actually not doing as bad as many people thought the last 4 weeks before this week. But this is the week where I know a lot of people who already hated this offensive line will just come out in full force. And yeah, it's just terrible showing, man. Terrible showing. Wes Schweitzer, I think he's actually been solid. He was solid today on this one long run by Antonio Gibson towards the end of the first quarter, I believe. But Morgan Moses, terrible. Chase Roullier, all right. Wes Martin, trash, absolute trash. And John Christian, we didn't hear too much about him. I don't know if he had a terrible game, but yeah, the offensive line needs a lot of work, guys. It really does. I still think we should re-sign Brandon Sheriff and maybe put Wes Schweitzer on the left guard position and then Brandon Sheriff at the right guard, and maybe have those 2 guards set. But at the same time, man, we've already seen that dishing out money is not the solution to many of our problems. We saw that with Landon Collins. We saw that with so many players. So I don't know, man. We might need to save that money for other positions. Who knows? There was no pressure by the defensive line for most of the game outside of Montez Sweat, who had a very, 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 very solid game. Chase Young did make a couple of tackle for losses, which is always great to see. He did make that return after missing last week's game because of a groin injury, so that's great. I have very much faith in our defensive ends, and even Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, while not having the best of games, I still think they're pretty good defensive tackles in this league, and might not be living up to their first round billing at this point, but they're still pretty good. So yeah, you have something there, I guess, to build upon. Kendall Fuller, 3 picks in one and a half games, actually. He's been really good. Although there's one play, I don't know if it was Kendall Fuller's fault or Landon Collins' fault, where Robert Woods just ran right down the field and Jared Goff found him, and it was a long touchdown and definitely a momentum shifter in the game. So yeah, I think, I don't know who is to blame on that, if it was Landon Collins or Kendall Fuller, I don't know. It's just miscommunication on that defense, which is something we've seen all too often in the last couple of years, and really my entire years of fandom of this team, since Sean Taylor days, really, rest in peace. Isaiah Wright should have went out of bounds on a couple of plays, just terrible situational awareness. He also caught a punt on the 5-yard line. Just terrible situational awareness. And, he's a rookie. I get it. Undrafted rookie too. at that, but you just can't have that happen really on the NFL level. You just can't. And there's one drive, I believe it was after Kendall Fuller's interception, I believe it was, where we started at the 50-yard line, about the 50-yard line, right? We ended up in a 4th and 20 situation with, I believe, 2 sacks, and there was one pass behind the line of scrimmage. What I'm saying here is, one, again, like we discussed earlier in this video, the offensive line is terrible. But 2, something that needs to be talked about more and more, Scott Turner, what are you doing? As a play caller, what are you doing? I get it, your quarterbacks aren't very good. Either one of them really, Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins, they're not good. All of them, in my opinion, are not good, even though Kyle Allen is the best, in my opinion, by a small margin, very small margin. At the same time, your play calling has been very suspect the last couple of games. I actually believe last game was his best sort of game as a play caller, but beyond that, man, he's just not been good. And Ron Rivera might be talking to him over the course of next week and might come up with a full game plan for next week's game collaboratively and not just let Scott Turner call the plays. I don't know, man, but he has just not been it. And then to counteract that, you have Kevin O'Connell, who was our offense coordinator last year and wasn't great by any stretch, but did very well today and for the Rams. And Jared Goff was on fire, man. We always make quarterbacks look like they're Joe Montana, and that seemed to be like the case with Jared Goff. But again, the offensive line is just not good. That's pretty much all I have written down, but another terrible, terrible loss. Man, I oftentimes think, oh, wow, my entire year as a Phantom minus 1 RG3 year, I've just been terrible, right? And sometimes I feel a little bit sorry for myself and all that. Like, why am I watching this team? They just waste my Sundays and stuff. But then I realized there are people who are maybe closer to 30 years old, like my older cousin and others who have been watching this team since 92, 93, and they've gotten the full Dan Snyder experience. And I just wish we could one day. I know Jordan from, formerly Redskins Today, but now just watched the football today, talk about this, but I just long for the days when we could just talk about a good winning football team in the DMV and DC. And man, because when Washington, Redskins, whatever, when they win, the whole area is just ecstatic. But I don't know, man. Just when you think there's moments of hope and stuff, the team just lets you down. And at this point, I'm slowly but surely becoming more apathetic towards the performance in terms of like my reactions during the game. Like before, I used to be so mad, used to be throwing stuff, but now it's just like, hey, another loss. That's the life of a Washington football fan, as I know all of you guys know at this point, because most of you who are watching this are. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's getting harder and harder to do these videos, but you guys just watching it and supporting and commenting just makes me want to keep going, keep striving to be better. And sorry, another downer, but I think so. In terms of the schedule for videos this week, Noah and I won't have a collaborative fantasy sports video, but Noah might put out a fantasy sports video. I'm not sure. Then of course we'll have the game preview soon to come. But I did wait a little bit to watch the end of the Eagles game, and the Eagles did ultimately lose. So Washington, again, is not too far off from the division lead. They're 1-4, but the Eagles are 3-1, I believe, and the Cowboys are playing the Giants. So even if the Cowboys win, they would be 2-3 and just a game ahead. So NFC East is trash. I know the announcers talked about it the entire game, but it is actually trash. Wow. Yeah, but I don't even care at this point, guys. I just care about putting a winning football team together, and we just are not it. I could care less about the division lead right now. I just want to see good performances, man. What more can you ask for, right? Like just good performances. I don't know. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the DMV Sports Zone channel as we try to post fire content as much as possible on here, as well as our Instagram page, all lowercase DMVSportsZone, and our Twitter page at DMVSportsZone. But with that being said, thank you guys again for watching, and on to the next game.